Mic check, mic check. Can you all hear me okay? Sweet, welcome in everybody. Matthew said this is his favorite part of Sundays. I hear you. Mine too. I like preparing to make money. Jay Cutts said it's better than football Sundays. Yeah, I would agree. My team's the Jaguars, so I mean, pretty much anything's better than watching them play. Ruby, welcome in. Bronson, welcome in. Welcome in to everybody else. Hello. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Hello, everybody. Welcome. I'm going to be breaking down my full trading plan for tomorrow and then talking about some setups that have potential later on this week. I'll be taking charting requests at the end of the stream. But as I'm going through these setups, keep in mind that the future movement of stocks is unknown. I mean, I don't know where these stocks will go. You probably don't either. Nobody really does, right? So what I'm talking about here tonight is just my plan for tomorrow if and only if the stocks move the way that I think they could, right? So I'm just basically creating a game plan for different scenarios. And if they move according to that game plan, I'll be ready to trade them. So everything mentioned in this live stream tonight is just my opinion and does not serve as financial advice. Okay? As for the overall market, I think that we could potentially see more downside from here. You know, I'm not trying to fearmonger, but it is a possibility that we need to be prepared for. And so for those of you that have been trading with me for any extended period of time, you know that I analyze for long setups, breakout setups, momentum plays, etc. But since there's the possibility that we could see more downside in this market, my watch list for tomorrow will not be totally long biased. I'm actually going to be looking to short a few setups and kind of trade with what this overall trend is currently, which is down. All right, so I mean, let's just look at SPY, right? I'm going to show you kind of what I'm looking at here. So this green dotted line, this is your 50 EMA. SPY has found support at that 50 once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, and now we're heading back down to that price point for a 6th time on this most recent drop. So that puts our support point right at around 440 or 441, and we're currently at about 445.5 on SPY. On top of that, the VIX, right, volatility index, is now up and over the $20 price point. So, I mean, this could run probably to 23 or 24 before we start to see it curl back over, if the market is going to bounce at that 50 EMA. So let me get back to SPY. Yeah, this could drop a few more points. It could also reverse back up, but I think any sort of reversal back up might just be a temporary relief from the selling pressure, and we might see a lower high put in, just as we've seen here, and a continuation down, right? Just a plan idea, just a trade idea. Could be a scenario that we're presented with this week. So for that reason, we'll have at least two setups on my main chart watch list that we're looking for short continuations on. Okay, so the first one on my watch list, and these are in no particular order, by the way, is AFRM. AFRM. You've probably seen this thrown around in the community a few times. So kind of a larger gap up here from like 65 area up to 100. It rejected at 100 and came down, then had earnings and popped all the way up to to about 125, 126 area. So this is a strong move following a double gap up, which tells me that this probably still has momentum behind it. Okay, plus it made this move when the overall market was coming down, so it's showing relative strength, showing strength after pretty much a double gap up here. And I mean, honestly, it's not far off from these highs near 146. So I've drawn a trend line here at 130. That's kind of the next psychological level of resistance overhead. And I'm looking to take AFRM long for a continuation play over last week's high at around 126, 126.5 for the run to about 130. That's very small in comparison to the big moves that it's been making. But if we're looking at this from a percentage standpoint, it's still over 3% profit margin there. Okay, so that's plenty of room to take some decent profits on, and it may not stop there, right? That's just kind of like a conservative price target. But yeah, I mean, this chart looks good. It's very kind of clean price action here. I like the fact that it had a run up and a pullback, held that pullback area as a support. You know, I wouldn't want to see it break below 120, and hopefully this doesn't gap up without us and stays under 126. So the plan as of now is to take AFRM long tomorrow over 126 with a price target, a minimum price target in mind of 130. If the stock gaps up or if it gaps down, one thing that you have to be mindful of is that the 126 trigger level that I'm mentioning right now, that may not be in play anymore. So make sure that you are adjusting your trigger levels according to how the market moves overnight and then also in the pre-market session as well. Okay? For those of you that are in the Discord server, you don't have to worry about that. I'll do that for you. But for everybody else. Okay, AFRM, first one on the watch list. Again, in no particular order, long idea over 126, 126.5 area. Just looking for a continuation run, price target of 130 in mind. Number two, you could have guessed it. It's AMC. We are not taking this off the watch list yet. We've had it on the watch list pretty much ever since we got this pop move right here. We caught that pop move. It started to bounce up and down, giving us a formation of a pattern that I really love to trade. This is known as the ascending triangle. You have a flat top level of resistance right here at around $48. You've got increasing lows or higher lows on the way up, pushing it to this breakout point, and then you get the breakout move and run. So this has been really fun to trade lately. We did get some follow through. We've been getting some follow through on dip entries on this, so I want to keep it on the watch list. The only thing that's a little bit concerning to me is that when we got this breakout move last week, we did not get a whole lot of volume coming in and following through. So I was kind of expecting this to like really break and run like 54 to 56 area, maybe even up to 58, but we did not see that. So I'm keeping it on the watch list because I think that because that volume didn't come in, there's still a chance that it could come in and push this thing up higher, but it needs to hold up over 48. Okay, if it fails to hold up at $48 and falls back into this kind of choppiness area, then taking this long over 52 or over the previous high isn't really in play, or isn't really going to be in play. Right? So as of right now, we want this to hold up over $48. We don't want it to open up any lower than that. We don't want it to fall below that. And we'd like to take it long over 52. Okay, so that's the plan for AMC tomorrow. Just looking for a continuation breakout from this ascending triangle. Long idea over 52. I'm not super interested in taking a short position on AMC. But I guess if I had to place one, it would probably be at 48. And the reason being is because we know that old resistance can become new support. I mean, this is very clearly the old resistance here on the daily, so it should validate as new support. But again, yeah, I'm not really looking to short AMC. Just looking for a long idea on this for a continuation play. By the way, if you're just joining in, what I'm doing right now is going over my main chart watch list for tomorrow. I'll be talking about some side charts that have potential for later this week, so they're not something that's set up per se for tomorrow's trade, for a trade for tomorrow, but they could be set up later on this week. And then I will be taking your charting requests. Everybody loves to do that. Okay. Number 3 on the watch list, and this is a short idea. So these next 2 setups, they're actually short ideas for continuations. Number 3 is Apple. So last week had some news come out on it. I'll let you do your own research on the news, the reason why it's kind of coming down. But what's more is that it had this kind of negative news come out and then also had market backing on the way down. Plus, it was pushed up to the highs. So if we're, the all-time highs. So if we're looking at the RSI was a little overbought. Yes, I also agree that this sell-off might have been a little too aggressive. But here's the deal. We have a rejection at the highs. Okay, that's reason 1. We've got a rejection at the highs. We've got negative news. That's reason number 2. We've got the overall market coming down. That's reason number 3. And what did we just talk about with AMC? How old resistance could or should validate as new support, right? This old resistance falls right here at 150, which is a whole number. So Apple has failed to hold that old resistance as new support and has broken through a whole number. That's reasons 4 and 5 why I'm looking to take a short position on Apple for a continuation trade to the downside. Now, there are a couple of ifs to this. If Apple reverses, if the overall market reverses, Apple will likely follow it, right? Or could likely follow it. So if Apple pushes back up and over 150, I may not be interested in a short position on Apple anymore. Okay? At least not for tomorrow. Now, maybe if it pushes up to like 151 or 152 and then we start to see a rejection, sure, we can bring it back down on Tuesday. But yeah, if it reclaims 150 tomorrow and looks like it's showing any type of bounce or strength from this drop, I'm not going to be interested in shorting it. Here's the conditions that have to be met for me to want to short Apple tomorrow. Number 1, I want to see it below 150. Has to hold below 150, okay? That's point number 1. Number 2, I'd like to see a lower low put in. So a break below, at this point, a break below like 148.5 would work. A break below 148 would work. Either one of those price points would work for me. Okay, so 2 different scenarios, 2 different ways to kind of take this trade idea. Number 1 is if it rallies and hits 150 and rejects, we can look to take a short position there for the run back down. Or number 2, if it just opens up flat and then flushes at the open or shortly after the open, we can look to take a short position below 148.5 or below 148. That trigger level is to be determined. Now, there is some support here at the 50 EMA. That's going to be right around 146. So keep that in mind as well. That area can serve as a price target for you. Okay, Apple, short continuation play tomorrow. I'm not really interested in looking at taking a long on this, but if it's moving up and the overall market is reversing, then maybe. But yeah, this looks more like a short setup to me than something I'd be looking to take long. Right, and number 4 on the watch list for tomorrow will be Boeing. Boeing is also a trade that I'm looking to, or a stock that I'm looking for a continuation short on. So we've got a few things here. Big rundown, right? Multiple gap downs here on the way down. The relief from this selling pressure, which kind of put in like a bear pennant pattern right there. Then it broke down from the gap down from the bear pennant and then has since consolidated. So this 50 EMA, the green dotted line crossing that 200 EMA, that's a big deal. That is called a death cross. All right, if that cross holds up, I think Boeing can definitely see some more downside, and $200 is not far off from where we're currently trading at. So support and resistance right now for Boeing. Resistance very clearly is placed at 216. Okay, you see all of these wicks rejecting at or near that area. That's going to be your resistance point overhead. Support point is going to be placed right around 210. That is also kind of the low from this initial drop down. Below this low, below 210, The next support area that I see, the next two support areas that I see are going to be right around 205 and then the whole number at 200. So those are the two price targets for Boeing if this continues down. And I'll be looking to take a short position probably just below 210. All right, so if we get a break below 210, look to take the short, run it down to around 204, 205, 206 area, and then below that down to 200. This one will serve you well also if you have the overall market backing, right? So if the market's continuing down, this might be a good position or a good trade to take. It's a range break. This is a range. So support at 210, resistance at 216. Cool. So a quick review. The charts that we're watching for tomorrow, at least as of right now, that are on the main chart are AFRM. I'm looking for a continuation trade to the top side on that. AMC, I'm looking for a continuation breakout on that. Apple, I'm looking for a continuation flush. And then Boeing, I'm also looking for a continuation flush. Those last two, I really would like to have market backing. So if the market's red, I think those those might work out nicely for us. Let's talk about some side charts. While I'm doing that, feel free to post up in the chat section any stocks that you want me to review. I just ask that you give me maybe a little bit of reasoning why I should review that stock, like a resistance point, support point, or if you see a pattern there, give me your kind of thoughts, your justification on why we should review that stock, and we'll review it. All right, side charts. Number one, PTON. This one, I'm a little late to the party. This is funny because I actually saw the news come out when it came out. So PTON is moving off of they said that they're launching an apparel brand, which I didn't honestly think that was bullish. That was that bullish of news. So I didn't trade it the first day, and then I looked at the spreads on the option chain for the second day, and I saw this gap right here, and I didn't put it on the watch list because of the spreads on the option chain. Then I went back and looked at it this afternoon, and those spreads have tightened up. The open interest has picked up, so now PTON is on my radar. It's a side chart because I'm a little late to the party. That's why. This stock is already up from the lows up to the most recent high. It's up about 23%. So it almost feels like we would be chasing this move, and maybe we very well could be. Maybe this move is already done and this is all that it had in the tank, or maybe it's not, right? That's why it's a side chart, because it's not super high probability, but it is moving up against the overall market. It does have a catalyst. It is showing strength, so there's a chance that it could continue. I'm looking to take PTON long over probably 118 or 119 tomorrow, just for a continuation trade. That's it. The spreads on this thing have tightened up. Like I said, the open interest has picked up, so that looks good. But the only thing that's somewhat worrisome is that it's had two massive days back to back, and it might need a day to just move sideways or even pull back some before continuing up. All right. So PTON, set your alerts over 118 or 119. Number two on the side chart watch list is FUBO, F-U-B-O. All right, so since we are watching AMC, and we know that AMC is a meme stock, and FUBO kind of falls into that same category, the high short interest meme stocks, if we're expecting the AMC stock to run, then I think we could also look at FUBO as a possible sympathy play with AMC. That being said, technically it still does present a pretty good setup. So it held the 200 EMA, bounced off the 200, tested it as support, broke the 50, tested it as support, and is now moving back up once more. This to me looks like a bull flag pattern anyways, right? It's at the $30 whole number right here as well. Resistance just overhead at 31, so just set your alerts at 31. FUBO will likely make the side chart watch list, especially if we're expecting a breakout on AMC. Okay, very easy kind of analysis here, just looking for the break of 31. Next price target will be 33 and then 35, and then above that, it can really get interesting. The next one on the watch list side chart will be Zoom, ZM. I talked about this one last week. You kind of all should really know the setup that's being presented here. It's just a gap down from earnings. So it's like a 40 or 50 point drop. Yeah, it was a 40 point drop from 340 down to about 300. It's having trouble. It was having trouble breaking 300, and then by the end of last week, we got a little bit of volume come in, the break of 300, and then actually closed over 300. So I just set an alert or reset an alert at 306, and I'm looking for ZM to push back up into this gap area and maybe give it some relief from this drop right here, a little bit of selling relief to fill. I think it'll partially fill. I don't think it'll recover all the way. It could, but yeah, I'm just looking for a quick trade into this gap and then, get my money and get out. The next two setups are ones that are not ready for tomorrow. I don't think they're ready for tomorrow in any regard. But I'm going to go over them anyways because they could be a decent play for later on this week. If not this week, then maybe even next week. Number one is Facebook. So this has been shaping up a bull pennant pattern here at the all-time highs. We thought we were going to get a breakout on last week, and then, well, the whole market kind of like started to correct a little bit and pull back, so we didn't get the expected move that we were aiming for on Facebook. All right. Nonetheless, it is still putting in higher lows. It is still in play. It is still very close to these all-time highs. So keep your alerts set on Facebook over 384. All right. That's all that there is to really say about this. We're just looking for a break over the all-time highs. Kind of going along with that same all-time high theme, Nvidia as well has been holding up despite what these market conditions are right now. It's building a range with support at $220 and resistance at $230. It's trading right in the middle of both. I mean, it's literally at 225. So it's not a trade for tomorrow. Because it could go up or it could come down. It's a 50-50 shot where it goes from here. That's why I'm not putting it on my watch list. There's nothing really high probability about this yet. But if it does decide to push up and we get a close at or near $230, this makes the watch list on Tuesday for a break of 230 and a run. Okay? Or any day this week, right? If it gets close to 230, we'll put it on the watch list for the next day for the break and run. Just hopefully it doesn't gap up without us. That's the only thing. And that's it. That's all I have for my side charts. So quick review on those. PTON over 118, 119 area. Fubo, alert set over 31. ZM, alert set over 306. Facebook, alert set over 384. Nvidia alert set over 230. All right, I'm going to get into your charting requests. Somebody actually messaged me before we even started the live stream and asked that I review a couple of their breakdown trades. So I'm going to go over those for this person. Give me 1 second. Okay, so the first one that they had mentioned was Snapchat. And according to their analysis, this is a bull pennant pattern that they saw shaping up here. Maybe, I guess if you're including this run up, sure, I could see that. But what I see that's more relevant to what Snapchat is doing right now is this wide range. So $70, there's the gap up from earnings, right? $70 is the support point because it's partially filled this gap to the bottom side. Then you have resistance right around $78 or $80. This is very, very up and down. Very up and down, up and down, up and down. It makes it hard to kind of determine where this will go. Because even if you said, well, it looks like a smaller pennant pattern right here, why can't we just take it long over 76, right? Why couldn't we do that? Well, you could. You could take it long over 76. But then what do you run into? 80 cents later, another high, right? So you have a 76 up to 76.8. You know, you're limiting yourself on profit margin there. You have a 1% profit margin there. That's potential resistance. Above 76.8, where's your next resistance point? Looks like 77.3. Above that, where's it at? 78. You see what I'm saying? Above that, where's it at? 78.5, 79, 80, 80, 80. So there's a ton of resistance points overhead. I see what this person is talking about with this kind of being very choppy, maybe looking like a pennant pattern. Sure, I get it. But I would rather just say, you know what? I'm not going to try to guess where this is going to go because even if I did, there's so many resistance points overhead, I wouldn't want to touch it. I would rather just wait on Snapchat to either get close to $80 or get close to $70 and then take a trade. I'm going to consider this a very wide range. And that's how I've been looking at Snapchat pretty much ever since it's gapped up. All right. The second trade that the second setup that this person mentioned was on Uber. They said it was a possible bear pennant pattern. I do see that, yes, but it's almost the same deal, right? Uber has support right here at $39, not once but twice. Resistance at 42, a couple of times there and there. Okay. So even if it broke from where it's at, from 39.8, you have support at 39, and 39 is a big level because there's a gap area right here. So I wouldn't want to short, if I was looking at Uber, I wouldn't want to short Uber below where it's currently at because I know support is right here. I know that that's there. So I would rather just wait on Uber to get closer to the support point at 39 and then tell me, is it going to hold or is it going to fail? Because then if it fails, we have a fat gap right here for this to fill, all the way down to 36, right? Much more profit margin offered here than there was from 39 to 40. Okay? That's how I would trade Uber. Let's get into some requests that you guys have been mentioning here. Facebook for review. Okay, yeah, so Facebook we've already kind of went over. It does look good over the highs, but it's not quite ready yet. All right, somebody said BNTX. Okay, let's go over BNTX. I believe we reviewed this one. We reviewed this one not too long ago. Okay, BNTX has a double bottom formation on the daily that looks promising, especially with the news headline. Okay, so I don't know what the news headline is, but I would say that this probably more than like I see the double bottom that you're talking about, maybe here and here, but this to me, I would just say that that's just a massive like bull pennant pattern, right? So I would look at this in this light rather than off of the double bottom, because that would have been a great buy when it was forming, but it's not really relevant here. And even if it was relevant here for the double bottom, like if you're considering this to be the double bottom there and there, you don't have confirmation until it breaks the neckline at 380, right? So that would be your expected move off of the double bottom, which would be placed there and there, okay? So you don't have confirmation on a double bottom until it breaks the neckline. Got it? So if we're looking for a pennant pattern anyways, if we're looking at this as a pennant pattern anyways, we also don't have confirmation that that's breaking out until we get higher highs put in, which both of those kind of make the $380 price point an important level to watch. So I would look for higher highs to be put in over 380. And then maybe catch that move up to 400 and beyond if it starts to move that way. As of right now, I think it would probably be a guess on if this is going to break out or not. You said that there's some news catalyst there. I mean, I don't know the news catalyst, and I'm looking at this right now. It doesn't seem like that catalyst was that much of a catalyst because it gapped up and just pulled right back down. So maybe it was a catalyst initially, but you know, maybe wasn't that significant. I don't know. I would just set alerts at 380 and wait for a break of that. That's how I would probably trade this one. All right, somebody said ACTG. It's on the on an uptrend on the daily, had a good pullback and closed right at a resistance point, possible break of 7. Let's see. That's actually a pretty clean chart. Okay, so there's your earnings. It was holding the I like that it was holding the 200 EMA. I'm not really a fan of penny stocks, but this doesn't. I mean, this is pretty clean price action for most compared to most penny stocks that I've seen, penny stock charts at least. So okay, run up, pennant breakout into the high. Is this the all-time highs? Let me look. It doesn't seem like it is. Okay. So $9. We'll just put resistance up here at 8. Let's just say that. So there's resistance from where we're currently trading at 7 all the way across. When you got this run up, it held as support. When you got the pullback, it also held as support. Then you had maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 touches there at 7. You said that this had a nice pullback. Yes, it did, right? So there's your run up. There's your pullback on lower volume. That's exactly what you want to see. Big volume coming in to push it higher. Yes. Is it up after hours? No, it's not. But I like that it's flagging right here underneath $7. That looks good. So yeah, I'm not a big penny stock fan, but above $7, I agree with you on this. Who called that out? Farhan? Yeah, possible break of. I would wait for a break of 7 for that entry, and then once you get that break of 7, that 7 then becomes your stop loss. Or you can move it down, you know, maybe set a stop at like 690, just to give it a little bit of wiggle room. But yeah, good call out. This is actually a nice chart. Well done. Well done. I'm impressed with that one. Okay, Don says ATER has a very high short interest, low float, up 300% the past 2 weeks. Okay, so I don't do, again, I don't really, I'm not a fan of these penny stock kind of pump and dumps. From $3 up to $13. Look, here's the deal. This is, so you said it yourself, right? It's up 300% in the past week. That's probably telling you that maybe the entry was at the break of this pennant pattern, right? Or maybe the entry was at the break of the 50 EMA. Now that it's pushed up like this, it's nearing that 200 EMA, which acts as a level of resistance. So you have two types of support and resistance in the market: static resistance and dynamic resistance. So static would be something like this, right? Where, okay, we know that this level is a resistance point and it doesn't move with the price of the stock. Dynamic resistance would be something like an EMA, like your 200 EMA or your 50 EMA. So here on the drop down, your 50 EMA acted as resistance, and then resistance yet again before breaking over. So that would have been maybe a decent entry point for the break of 10 and run. Now we're dealing with the 200 EMA being just overhead, right? So 200 EMA was support, then flipped to resistance, and then what can we expect from here? So with this being up, like you said, 300% in the past week, you really have to consider it's called your RR. What is your risk to reward here? Is there a higher chance that this continues up? And if so, what is your profit margin? Or is there a higher chance that it continues down? And if so, what is your potential loss, right? So if you were to take it long, maybe over these highs, maybe over 13 up to 14.6, that's going to be right to that 200 EMA. You're looking at about a 10% profit margin. Whereas to the bottom side, you know, if you were to enter up here and it came all the way back down, let's just say to the 50, you're looking at like a 30% loss. Now, I'm sure you would cut the position before it gets back down to that price point, but that's your risk to reward there, right? So you don't have a lot of reward here, and you do have a lot of risk there. I would be careful on something like this. I would be careful. Yeah, so maybe even if you wanted to place a stop at like $11 or $11.20. Old resistance, breakout area, new support, right? But I don't know anything about why this is running up like this. So I mean, that's a lot of volume coming into this name. Just be careful. That's all I'm cautioning against. All right, let's look at PLTR. Somebody mentioned this one. Trend line rejection on Friday. Thinking of taking a short position there. Trend line rejection. I'm not sure. Maybe you mean at 27. I see. Okay, so this is definitely a resistance point for PLTR, right? If you're talking about 27, resistance, 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 right? So it does make sense that it would reject right there. This, to me, though, it looks like a big cup and handle. There's your cup. There's your test of the resistance again. There's your pullback. There's the push back up. It did sell off pretty hard, though. If you're thinking about a short position on this, I don't know. I think there are probably better setups to short than PLTR, if I'm being honest. Maybe if this breaks below like 25. But, I mean, again, this support's like right here. I would look for something where like the bottom is about to drop out or already dropping out of. If you're looking at, if you are like a short bias trader, you know, so like if you pulled up the stocks and sorted them by percent change, just kind of go through like, you know, which stocks have the bottom about to drop out of it, and maybe offer you the most profit margin to the downside. Something like UPST might actually be a really good short. This thing has been running for quite some time, and we all know that just as fast as they run up, they can fall twice as fast, 3 times as fast sometimes. So, you know, UPST with the RSI being way up here, maybe this would be a decent, maybe or a better short position here for you, since you have more profit margin to the bottom side. You know, maybe a drop below like 260, or AAL, right, where this has totally engulfed the body of the previous candle. So it had a run up and then a bearish engulfing candlestick, rejecting at the 50 and the 200 EMA, and there's not much support below where it's currently at. You know, there's not much stopping this from dropping all the way down to 18 or beyond. Yeah, I just think that there may be better setups that, to short than PLTR. But hey, if the whole market's red, then it's red, right? Cool. All right, quick review. AFRM, AMC, Apple, Boeing, all making my main chart watch list for tomorrow. PTON, Fubo, ZM, all making the side chart. And then Facebook and NVIDIA. We're going to keep alerts on those. If they push up to the highs later this week, then we have a potential trade there. Trade safe this week. Trade safe, right? Keep an eye on SPY. Keep an eye on the VIX. Try to have market backing as much as possible in your positions, or if you're trading something that doesn't have market backing, make sure it's showing some sort of relative strength. All right, stay patient. Good luck this week. Make some money. I'll see you all in chat. Take care. Enjoy your weekend.